Hi, I'm Nagheme Thomas,
And I'm Carrie Miller.
and we are here to present our work for Political Statistics, Political Science 401. And we're going to talk about what explains income disparities amongst people with advanced degrees. So for that particular subject area, my motivation as a Black American for studying this area was going back to school specifically for an advanced degree, and was very interested to know why there would be a difference between income, even at the same educational level, simply because of the color of your skin. So I'm asking you, how would you feel to be shut out of this wealth gap simply because of the color of your skin?
So for my motivation to pair along with Naghme's, I was motivated by the HR 40 bill that is introduced into Congress every year. And so this bill is aiming to study the long-term effects of slavery on the current situations for African American communities. Now, this bill is commonly known for its influence on reparations. It is believed that this bill will pass reparations, but it is not. So what this bill is aiming to do and what we're using to pull from this is number 3, the lingering negative effects of slavery on living African Americans in society. And we want to link that to unconscious bias and how that affects our incomes in the Black community.
So based on those motivations, we believe that our research question is appropriately titled, and again, I'll let you know what it is again here: what explains income disparities amongst people with advanced degrees? For this particular research question, we theorize that an individual's race, again defined simply as Black and white, is positively related to their income, defined as low, medium, and high income. This causal mechanism could be educational achievement. But when higher levels of education are achieved, both Black and white individuals' incomes should be closer. There is a correlation between income gaps and race despite educational attainment. And our null hypothesis states there's no difference between Black and white individuals and their incomes, even when looking at different levels of education. For our pathway diagram, we see that race is intrinsically correlated to income. So for race, which is defined as white is equal to 0 and Black is 1, which will be explained in more in depth later, and income is defined as 0 for low income and high income as 2.
So for our data, we decided to use the data set from the General Social Survey for 2018. And so with this, we had 2,348 individuals that were interviewed. And this interview process was utilized as a face-to-face instruction. And these interviews lasted 90 minutes. And there was no other methods of administration noted. And this study was actually conducted from April to November of 2018. And we felt this was a good data set because it was the most recent data set for us to utilize. And it dives deeper into race, and it allows the individuals to self-identify, as in past years, they were identified for them. So in our measures, we used 3 different variables. We really wanted to understand the connection of education to race and income, because education should be helping pull African Americans and whites out of the low income category, despite the color of their skin. So for our main independent variable, we looked at the race of the respondent. Now, this question asked the race of the first person, which is the respondent, and they were to self-identify. They had 3 options of white, Black, or other. So for Black, we equated that to 0, white was 1, and other we excluded from this because we just wanted to look at the white and Black differences in income. So then our next independent variable is education. So this question asks simply the education of the first person. Once again, first person is the respondent, and this utilized a time frame of 0 to 20 years. So 0 to 11 years would be no completion of high school, no diploma, and that would be equated to 0 in our graphs. 12 to 15 was the completion of high school, some college or an associate's degree, and that is equal to 1. And then 16 to 20 years is equated to 2, and that is going to be your bachelor degree or graduate degree. So this is going to be our highest tier that we're going to be seeing the largest difference in. And then finally, our dependent variable is our income. And so for this question, in which of these groups did your total income for your family fall from all sources last year before taxes? And so our range was $0 to $170,000. And we broke that down into 3 categories: the low, medium, and high. Low being $0 to $24,999, medium being $25,000 to $89,999, and that usually represents a middle class here in America, and then 90,000 or more equated to 2, and that's going to be our highest income bracket. So for our findings, we decided to utilize the multivariate regression table because we're examining more than just 2 variables, and it's important to look at all 3 of them together to understand their effect. So if you look down at EDUC, which is the variable that we utilized for education, you see a 0.457 increase. And so that means as each of our units goes up, so from one of our categories to the next, you see a 0.457, which is a roughly 46% increase in income for individuals with higher education. Now, if you look at identity 2, the conflicting thing here is that it's negative 0.271%. So what that means is the income of African Americans as their education goes up falls 27% below their white counterparts. So our findings absolutely correlated with our hypothesis. There is a positive correlation between race and income levels despite the educational attainment. And just one more time, I want to iterate that the increase of 45% for education does not carry over to African Americans. The Black income earnings as education goes up for them is 27% less than their counterparts.
So that, based on what we've presented here to you today, we find that our arguments are very compelling. And this study of over 2,300 participants showed that there is a difference between Black and white respondents, and that difference is at all levels of 15.31%. And that difference is in terms of their income, despite the same educational attainment. Though college degrees are meant to be an equalizer, this study has demonstrated that is not the case if you're Black. Having an advanced degree does not provide the same educational investment, and thereby widening the wealth gap for Black Americans even further. So more needs to be done in terms of leveling the playing field, trying to attain equity for Black Americans when it comes to their income, such as ending discriminatory practices and paying for that unconscious bias that Carrie mentioned earlier, because a carryover the days of slavery that we're still paying for, and we still see this disparity continues to prevail. So again, we'll reiterate that our findings in the study is consistent with our hypothesis.